Welcome back to another episode of Tina's Arena. Tina's Arena originally started off as somewhere where I could talk about fitness and nutrition, and lately we've been talking a lot about mindset, which is something that I believe is the start to creating long-lasting nutrition and fitness goals and habits. It all begins in your mind, right? If you don't believe that you can create it for yourself, if you don't believe that you can attain it, then you're not going to be able to create long-lasting habits and change in yourself. I hope that the stuff that we've been talking about so far has been helpful, and I hope that you can apply it to your life. That's the biggest thing about sharing all of this, right? Is teaching you things that you can take and apply to your life. Helping you learn the lessons that I had to live through in order for me to learn, and maybe you can skip a couple of steps. I'm really good at simplifying nutrition. I know a lot about food. The only thing about food with me is that I'm not super fancy with it. I'm not gourmet by any means. I don't spend the extra time and energy to make stuff look nice. When you cook for one person, you don't make it look nice. You throw stuff together and you shove it down your pipe, and that's done, right? When I was going through the hardest time of my life, I was not making fancy meals. I was literally just putting stuff in the microwaving it until it was cooked and eating it, because I knew that I needed to feed myself nutrients. So even at a time where I was struggling, I was still feeding myself appropriately. And that was the first time that I had ever lost weight due to stress, because previously I would binge and I would eat to numb all of my emotions. But that was one of, I guess, a key moments in my life where I realized I was actually learning how to undo all of my overeating patterns, because this was a very, very hard time in my life and I lost weight, but I was fine. I was fine. I mean, I was fine physically. I was not fine mentally. So anyway, I know I crap on people that say food is fuel. It is fuel, but it's so much more than fuel. And I believe that education is the way that we heal ourselves. So that's a little bit of a pre-frame for how I've come across all of this information. It's just been stuff that I've learned over my lifetime and continue to learn. And if you know me, then you know that my goal is not to become a crazy bodybuilder. I'm not trying to get shredded. I don't want to be the fastest person alive. I am in a competition of me against myself. And all of the work that I do with regards to nutrition, fitness, and mindset is so that I can live the best life that I possibly can. I want to live a long and healthy life. That is the goal, and that is the perspective in which I teach. I'm teaching for longevity, and I'm teaching it so that you understand that you can still do all of these things, lead a healthy life, and still have a lot of fun. One of the things that is super important to me is pleasure and making sure that the life that you lead is pleasurable. Do you love the exercise that you're doing? Because if not, then you're probably not going to do it for a long time. Do you love the food that you're eating? Because if not, then you're probably going to look for food elsewhere. I truly believe everyone is capable of living a long and healthy life. And I think that social media and influencers are teaching us to focus on the wrong things, because they have to sensationalize everything in order to get your attention. They have to make everything fear-based and catchy, or else you're not going to pay attention. So I really hope to help you clarify all of that information, and I hope to make it accessible and easy, and I hope to inspire you so that you understand that you are fully capable of living the healthy life that you deserve. Okay? With all of that in mind, Let's start talking about nutrition. Nutrition is the science of feeding our bodies, providing it with the nutrients that it needs in order to survive optimally. I want to be optimal. So the thing for me about doctors is that doctors treat symptoms or doctors prescribe medicine in order to treat deficiencies. The main concern with doctors, I believe, is to keep you in an acceptable range so that you are not deficient with anything, with health, mental health, vitamins, minerals, hormones, whatever. They just want you to not be deficient. So that's why it's important to take your health into your own hands. Yes, doctors are there to help you, but they're not going to lead you to your best life. In order for you to be the best person that you can, it's not going to be in the hands of a doctor. Okay. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sorry. This is just a topic that is so important to me. I want people to be healthy. You deserve health, okay? So our body, the stuff that we eat, is divided into two big categories, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macro means bigger in some sort of language, Greek, Latin, I don't know. That's not what I'm here for, but macro we know means bigger. And so macronutrients are nutrients that we need a lot of. And micronutrients, we know micro means small. Micronutrients are things that we don't need a lot of. That doesn't mean that they're not important. That just means that they are more potent or we just need less of it. Micronutrients are still incredibly important. Macronutrients are incredibly important. It's all incredibly important, okay? Okay. There are 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrates. We're going to talk about protein first. Protein is a macronutrient that is made up of amino acids. Protein is the name of the macronutrient. It is made up of amino acids. And I don't know if this confuses people, but proteins are also literally the molecules in our bodies and cells that carry around micronutrients. They carry around oxygen to different blood cells. Proteins are pretty much the workers in the cells that are doing things. So when we flex our muscles are all protein. And when we flex them, there's proteins that contract them and proteins that expand them. In our brain, neurotransmitters are made up of proteins. Hormones are made up of proteins. Enzymes are made up of proteins. Proteins provide structural support in our cells, in our tissues. Cell repair is facilitated by proteins, and proteins can even be used for energy in our body. So protein is the name of the macronutrient that we eat itself, but protein is also the name of the molecule in our body that is doing all of the hard work. If you listen to all of the things that I listed off as proteins are everywhere in your body. They are your muscles, they're in your skin, they're in your hair. Collagen is a protein. Protein is everywhere. It is essential in everything that we do. That's why it's important for you to have enough protein for your body to use appropriately. If you don't eat enough protein, your body will sacrifice the protein that it already has. Why is this important to know? Because muscle mass is one of the indicators of long-term health. The more lean muscle mass someone has, the longer and healthier their life tends to be. That means that you do not want your body to start eating away at the muscles that you already have. It is hard to gain muscle, so that is why it's so important for us to keep the muscle that we already have, especially as we age, and to continue to resistance train and use strength training to keep the muscle that we have and build more. You are not too old to start resistance training. Resistance training with weights at appropriate hard weights is how you keep your muscles healthy, and it's how you keep your bones dense and strong. Resistance training should be done by everyone at every age. If you have pain, if you have certain limitations, then you get professionals and you work around it. You hire personal trainers that can help you accommodate whatever it is that you need to be accommodated with. Resistance training is something that everyone who is concerned about living a long and healthy life needs to be doing. Let me say that again. Resistance training is something that must be done for everyone that is concerned with living a long and healthy life. This is kind of a tangent, but resistance training helps you build your muscle mass and keep your muscle mass, which is important for living longer. It will help you stay balanced. It helps you keep your bones dense. It helps with insulin resistance. It helps increase endorphins. Like, this is a whole other episode that I'm going to get into later. But just know that if you are concerned with living a healthy life, if you want to be healthy for as long as possible, you need to resistance train. Back to protein. Now you know why protein is so important. So how much protein do you eat? I'm just going to use even numbers so that they're easy to understand. The general recommendation is 0.34 grams of protein per pound. So if I was a 200-pound individual, that would be 68 grams of protein per day. That is the recommendation from the government. The American Association of blah, 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 I don't know, the government. I believe in both Canada and the USA. That is the amount of protein that you need to eat in order to stay out of deficit. But we don't want to just be worried about deficit. We want to be optimal. We want to feel good. We want to be strong. We want to keep our muscles. So how much protein should you eat for that amount? The answer is always going to be, it depends. You can't make a blanket recommendation for everyone. The answer is going to depend on your age, because as we age, we become less efficient at digesting protein. So that means that you need to eat more protein for your body to absorb the same amount. Okay? And then it also depends on your activity level. A professional bodybuilder is not going to eat the same amount of protein as me. The range is actually about 0.5 grams up to even 3 grams of protein per pound. So 3 grams of protein is one of the highest ratios that I've seen. I don't think I've seen anyone talk about more than 3 grams per protein. So if I was a 200-pound individual, the same weight that I used to, for my example, 3 grams per pound would mean that I was eating 600 grams of protein per day, compared to the 68 grams that was recommended by the government. But again, that is extreme bodybuilding. They eat that much. As a normal person, what do we want to eat? Personally, I like to recommend 1 gram per pound of body weight because it's easy and simple math. So as a 200-pound individual, that would mean that I would eat 200 grams of protein. That is a number that I shoot for because I know a lot of people struggle with eating protein. So I like to say aim high, and if you miss a little bit, then it's not a big deal, because for me, again, it's all about simplicity, ease, and how long I can sustain this. I want it to be simple. I can definitely get into more specifics on protein. I can talk about protein sources, what to eat. There is so much more that I can talk about when it comes to nutrition. Nutrition is a master's degree. What's higher than a master's degree? It's a doctorate degree. People spend their entire lives studying nutrition. So there is so much more that could be said. So if you have questions about what I have said, please ask me. I cannot include everything in this podcast. It is impossible. If you feel like anything that I've said has raised questions in you, or if you are concerned in any way about anything, please reach out. Let me know, and I will do my best to assist you. Next up, we're talking about fats. Fats are also known as lipids, and they are also important in our bodies. Like I said, everything is important. It all works together synergistically. You get one right, it makes it easier to get the next one right, and then you feel good about yourself, and then it makes it easier to get the third one right, okay? This is all additive. That's why I like to tell people that when it comes to your health, every tiny little bit matters, and every tiny little bit adds up. If all you did today, for the next week, for the next month, was add a protein shake to your meals every day, you'd be doing a lot for yourself. It would add up eventually. You'll start getting into the rhythm of drinking that protein shake every day. You're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to start feeling stronger. You're going to be like, oh, look, I can do this health thing. And then the week after that, you're going to add an extra 1,000 steps, right? It's all additive. It doesn't have to be big steps. I'm going on another tangent. I'm going to go back. Fats. Fats are important. The most important thing that you need to know about fats is that there are things called essential fatty acids, and they are called essential because our bodies cannot make them for ourselves. So they are called essential so that you know you need to eat them. The most important fatty acids that you need to consume are omega-3s, omega-6s, and alpha-linoleic acids. Alpha-linoleic acids are in chia seeds, omega-3s are in fatty fishes, and so are omega-6s. Omega-6s are also found in a bunch of oils, which are commonly used and consumed, so it's not really important to supplement your diet with omega-6s because you're probably already getting omega-6s. It's important to balance out the amount of omega-6s you have in your body with omega-3s. If you're getting a bunch of omega-6 fats in your diet, then you also need to be getting a bunch of omega-3s. And why is this important? Why do we need to be eating fat? Because fat helps with hormone production. Fat helps with vitamin absorption. Fat lines cells in your brains and it helps messages travel around your brain faster. Your brain is actually made up of mostly fat, and fat is also protection. Fat is storage. Fat protects your internal organs and lines them so that they are protected against injury and bouncing around when you run, stuff like that. Fat is important. Most of the literature is saying that we should limit our intake of saturated fats. So if you are eating meat all the time, red meat especially, which is high in saturated fat, you should be eating lean cuts of it so that your saturated fat intake is lower. That includes butter. Butter is a saturated fat, and coconut oil. Any fat that is solid at room temperature is probably a saturated fat, and you don't want to be eating a bunch of that, okay? That's all that I have to say about fat. Unfortunately, there's a lot that I could say about carbs. I think the most important thing that I want to say about carbs is that there aren't really that many high performers that are not eating carbs. If you see anyone at the top of their game, performance-wise, physically, mentally, whatever, they're probably not ketosis. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be exceptions without a doubt. I'm going to guess that the majority of high performers, in whatever way you want to define high performance, are probably eating carbs. Let's go back to my philosophy of life. It's simplicity, ease, and pleasure. That is what I want in my life. So with that in mind, do I want to cut out carbs? No. Do I want to enjoy a cake every now and then? Yes. Do I like fruit? Yes. Do I like ice cream? Also yes. Do I love bread? Definitely yes. There is room for all of this and more in your diet. And I say diet as just the word that people use to describe what you're eating. We're not going on a diet. A diet is simply what you eat. Okay? So is there room for carbs in your diet? Yes. Yes, there is. And then my favorite thing that I like to point out is that carbs are so essential to our bodies feeling good that carbs are the only macronutrient that our bodies can create. There are no essential carbs. That means that your body can create the fuel that it needs. And that is why people can do well with ketosis diets where they eat zero carb or very, very low carb, because our bodies are able to take the proteins that we eat and create glucose from it. That's called gluconeogenesis, and that is a process of converting protein into glucose to give our cells the glucose that they need. Take from that what you will. My take-home message is that carbs are so important. We evolved to learn how to make our own carbs. You know what? I'm not going to get into carbs today. Just eat them, okay? There's no reason for you to go on a 0 carb diet. You can go on a low carb diet, sure, whatever works for you. But there's no reason, because I'm just saying this because in order for you to become a person that is keto adapted, in order for gluconeogenesis to occur in your body, you have to have 0 carbs for a long time. It takes your body. Do I even really need to get into this? I don't know. Okay, no. Let's just, carbs are delicious. And if you want them in your life, you can have them in your life. You don't need to listen to people that are telling you ketosis is the way to be, or keto, if keto sounds more familiar to you. You don't need to listen to that. If you think that that sounds crazy and you don't want to do it, then don't do it. That's my point. Because life is short and you deserve to eat the goddamn bread. You don't know how long you're going to be here. So why would you spend all of your days dreaming about the bread that you want to have, but you won't let yourself have? Eat the bread. Just eat it. Just eat it. Okay? That's all that I have for you today. We're just going to stop it there. Like I said earlier, I could go on and on and on. And actually, I do. I have a 12-week group coaching program in which I teach a lot of this stuff. And we just wrapped up our nutrition module, but I have decided that I have more to say about nutrition. So I'm probably going to add a little bit extra there. But if this is something that you're really interested in, if you're interested in learning about it more, if you're interested in the philosophies that I have about how I live my life, how I eat, all of the things that I've learned struggling through my eating disorder for almost a decade, all of the mental work that I've done for over a decade, I'm teaching it all in my group coaching program. I'm teaching as much as I can because I so believe that everyone has the capacity and ability, and they all deserve to live the life that they truly love and want to and find joy in, you know? I think I just wish that for everyone. So thank you again for joining me. I hope I was able to simplify some of this stuff for you, and I hope that you feel empowered. Please like, follow, subscribe, rate, whatever it is that you do on that platform that you're listening to. I really appreciate that you're here, and I hope you continue to join me. I'm so excited to continue this journey and to teach you everything that I learned. And if you're interested in that group coaching program, you can find me on my website at tinasarena.com, tinasarena.com. Yeah, that's how you spell it. There will be links there on how to reach me. So have a good day. Have a good life. Eat that bread and enjoy yourself.